Hey guys, Dozr here, bringing you a video. Going to be breaking down the feature match that I got to play in Vegas against David Letourneau on Bravo. This was us at the National Championship in Orlando, Florida in 2021. And we're going to be starting off the game here, doing a little bit of a VOD review. So sit back and enjoy. So to start things off, I believe the Bravo here is going to be going first. Really not much to talk about here. Generally, when you're playing as Bravo, you want to hold your action point turn one in case the Prism tries to put down an aura and do some setup. Normally, you're not going to get any damage through his Bravo turn one anyway. So, you know, this guy, I think if I were him, I would have simply held my action point maybe after playing that Sigil of Solace in his hand and proceeded to try an Arsenal and try and get some setup going, and deny me the opportunity to set up on him. But let's see what he does here. Looks like he's going to start off the classic tectonic plating to make a seismic surge. He'll be pitching a blue for that. We'll be going into a potential hammer swing here to try and throw some cards out of my hand. But again, against Prism, you don't want to swing hammer into a blank field. Turn one, there's just a lot of bad things that can happen from that. So here he goes. He's going to pitch a red pummel to make up for his Zenotho swing for 4. And here I'm going to come in and block with a blue Triumph for 3, taking 1 damage. And in this case, I'm very happy about this exchange. He's not really threatening me in any way. And as you'll see here, he has just made one of the biggest mistakes a Bravo can make, which is allowing Prism to have cards in their opening hand. That is going to be a Genesis dropped on turn 0 for the Prism player of myself. And now the Bravo is going to do his Sigil, which is great, and he's going to Arsenal a card. But like I was just talking about, swinging the hammer on turn 1 here, allowing me to resolve Genesis basically for free, is not really what you want to be doing as Bravo. So off to a really strong start on the Prism side and off to a shaky start on the Bravo side here. Genesis is going to trigger, and unfortunately I don't have my hand covered on the camera here. The camera is not only a little offset, but my hands are not just all in the middle of the table like my opponent's. So unfortunately, I can't tell you every card to my hand and show you my thought process. But we should be able to explain some of the thought process retroactively. So here, we're going to put a yellow protection into Soul, creating a token and draw a card, turning on Vestige of Soul. The idea here is to try and dig for some auras, dig for some Tome of Divinities, and get some shields going so that we can start chipping down our Bravo opponent. Obviously, the Genesis here is going to present a very large threat to our opponent, and so right now I'm currently deciding how I want to go about this turn. Do I want to throw some Heralds at him? Do I want to throw some of my other stuff at him? Do I want to make a Spectral Shield first? You know, I have a lot of these things that I'm thinking about, but what you'll see here is that I'm going to take the most information concealing play possible, where I simply attack with Spectral Shield for 1. I have the ability to give the Spectral Shield go again while it's in the combat chain by simply pitching a yellow for any reason, whether that be a Prism ability, whether that be a Halo activation, or any instant. So this is denying information to my opponent while allowing me to see that he now presented no blocks, to which I declared a Glisten. Glisten pitching a yellow Arclight Sentinel, floating that 1 resource from the Vestige bonus. And we're going to put all of the tokens onto the Spectral Shield that's attacking. So now we're coming in for a total of 4 damage with the 3 counters on it, and we now have go again on the stack here. So now, because he has a defense react, he'll be able to stop all the damage, which is great for him. But if he didn't have that, then we would have forced through an additional 3 damage. So that's why we did that play that way. We didn't want to announce that we were coming in for the 4 damage. We wanted to sneak it in. But now we've got a card out of his hand, we're happy. We're going to go and attack with Genesis. Getting some chip damage in here, and then we still have at least 1 card in hand, and so we're going to be able to use that 1 resource there to pay for a potential Herald, or we might just end up passing the turn here. I think in my hand here, I probably had a card in hand that I wanted to preserve for a later turn, so I think I ended up just arsenaling my card here and passing. I think I have a defense react and Arsenal there, and those are really key in this matchup against Bravo, obviously, because we want to keep that glistened up Spectral Shield alive. And so presenting our opponent with the threat of Glisten, Spectral Shields, and Genesis and as the Bravo player, he's going to need to try and clear that Genesis to deny me value going forward. So he might start off with a go again attack and then try and do Genesis to destroy it. But for now, we have the defense reacts to protect our glistened up Spectral Shield, and we'll be able to start chipping the Bravo down. So it looks like he's going to come in with a Nothos here. And there he goes. He's going to come in with the Nothos for attacking my Genesis. I'm going to decline on reacting to the Spectral trigger. It'll be destroyed, and I'm currently thinking if I want to do anything on his turn. I believe I decline, and we proceed over to my turn. Also, this is a very useful way to keep your auras on the board, where you keep all your unspent auras on the right-hand side and all your spent auras on the left-hand side to keep things clear for your opponent. So I'm going to lead off here with the Herald of Ravages blue, getting that yellow into pitch for the go again. Trying to keep cards in soul unless I really need to use them by pitching a yellow in the future, but right now we have a full hand basically, so there's no problem in getting some cards out of his hand to pop those Phantasms, while keeping the yellow in pitch there for go again, because we're going to pitch right now for the Phantasmal Footsteps by using the Energy Potion. Normally, this is very indicative that we're going to attack with a Herald afterwards, so keeping that 2 floating is really useful for that, and so we're going to come in for 4. Our opponent looks like he's going to decline on blocks and take 4 damage. Again, we've now gotten to have 2 swings off of that glistened up token here, and that is already getting us the full value of the glisten card. So we've already broken even, and now we're going to start trying to go for the gravy. Following up with a Herald of Protection blue for 5 damage, he's going to block with equipment and stop it all. That's very good for us because we're not only damaging his equipment, but we also got a card out of his hand earlier that turn as well, which will make it a bit easier to protect our Spectral Shield. And we already have a defense react, I believe, in Arsenal, so as long as we hold that there, we can basically stop whatever he's doing when he tries to break that. We're going to draw up and basically continue to play this same game plan. The Zealous Belting is going to come in for 4 here as a yellow, and he's going to have go again on it, so that's fine. We're going to probably go ahead here and assume that he doesn't have any pummels because he only has 1 card in hand. And we're going to go ahead and sink below red to full block the Zealous Belting. Depending on your hand state, you might sink certain cards, but I didn't decide to sink here. And he comes in with a life for life red, so that's another 4 attack go again. Because he's lower on life, that's actually pretty good for him. If it hits, it'll heal him. Very interesting tech card against Prism to try and go wide, but I think it's being a red pitch and having that low synergy with the other stuff that Bravo has isn't necessarily worth the slot over something like a Scar for a Scar. I feel like Scar for a Scar, if you wanted to run a card like that, would probably be better. Because again, it's only going to heal you 1 potentially, and it costs 1, so that's not what you want to be doing as Bravo necessarily. Spending pitch on a weak attack like that. So we end up here going ahead and blocking with the Phantasmal Footsteps and the Herald of Protection for 4 block total, pitching a yellow Prismatic Shield in order to pay for it. It's also very nice to have Prismatic Shield yellow at the bottom of your deck against Bravo, because in the end game, he can, that can be the way that you close out games. So it's perfectly fine to pitch that early, just use on Footsteps, preserve that Spectral Shield, deny all the damage coming through, and then set it up for late game. Looks like we've got a couple cards in hand here, thinking about what we're going to do. But looks like a very easy 3rd swing with the glistened up shield here, and that's going to be coming in for another 4 damage. It looks like he's going to pass on blocks and take an additional 4. So this shield has already done 8 damage and gotten a card out of his hand. So anything at this point that happens to that shield is gravy. Like, we don't have to even use it anymore. But what we'll do here is we'll pitch a blue Wartune Herald in order to create a Spectral Shield, because in this situation I'm thinking, okay, I need to start getting some insulation down, because if I just waste this resource in my hand, it's not going to do me any good. So I decided to simply spend it, spend the soul, and then that was the perfect play that I made, because now he's going to Bravo ability and go for a Dominated Crippling Crush for 11. This is exactly the type of time that you would really want to have your extra Spectral Shield there, and you'll see that's very relevant because currently the defense react to my arsenal is a Sink Below. The Spectral Shield on board and the other Spectral Shield are really incentivizing me to keep that glistened up token alive, to keep swinging with it for free value every turn. And even with a Soul Shield or something from hand, that's only going to be 6 additional blocks. So I'm currently looking at 10 block on board with a yellow Sink Below in arsenal and a 6 block defense react from hand, whether that's a Soul Shield or an unmovable, is the maximum block I can really do in this position. And so I'm currently thinking, okay, can I afford to, with my footsteps down here, can I afford to break my footsteps, or can I afford to break my vestige in order to keep my Spectral Shield token alive? That's the main consideration right now. And I'm basically going through my head thinking, okay, I'm already off to a decent lead. I've already got a couple of cards in my graveyard here. I'm going to go ahead and block with the footsteps. I'm going to go ahead and spend a resource to do that, and then go to reactions. Opponent has nothing left in hand to pay or do anything with. So, and also knows that this is a time snap potion here. I'm going to go ahead and from Arsenal, I'm going to go for a Sink Below yellow. I'm going to try and sink a card here, potentially, in order to draw no better card. But it does not look like I take that chance necessarily. Oh, yeah, there we go. So I probably was just trying to fish for a better card to have. Because I already had the one floating. Any yellow that I drew would have paid for whatever defense react I'm going to be going for next. And then there's the unmovable, pitching a Herald of Protection blue. So fully paid for the block. We're blocking 6 plus 3 plus 1 plus 1 is 11. So we preserve our glistened up Spectral Shield here, which is exactly what we want to be doing. Again, this matchup is won off the back of denying Bravo that damage and preserving these shields. That's the whole tank Prism game plan. And so that's on full display here, where we're just using these defensive cards. We're using all of our cards defensively in order to preserve this permanent value engine here. And then we're going to, again, swing for 4. And our opponent's just thinking to himself, man, this is my 4th attack with this shield. This is currently representing another 4 value. So this shield has already gained 12 damage, going from 42 down to 30 here. And it also got a card out of his hand very early on. So this shield is representing a lot of value on its own. And this is going to be the turn where he really has to try and get this out of here. Because if this keeps up, I'm just going to wear him down over time. There's no way he can compete with 4 damage for free every turn while also dealing 0 damage to me. So here he's going to go ahead and open up with a Tectonic Plating trigger to make a Seismic Surge. Very classic Bravo stuff, but he had a Spinal Crush in hand, which he would have loved to play, but he's going to come in with a Terra Sunder activation, and it looks like he's going to swing his Anothos here for 7, thanks to that Spinal being in the pitched area there. So good sequencing by him. He's coming in for 7 Dominate. In my hand, I have 3 Heralds and an Aura. And in my arsenal, I also have an Aura. So in this position, I actually cannot block and protect my Spectral Shield at this point. And so I'm currently thinking, like, okay, well, if I can't keep it alive, what order do I play these Auras in to try and get some value? And so I resolve Merciful Retribution first. And then on the stack, I also put on Ode to Wrath from Arsenal, thanks to the fact that I had 2 blue Heralds and a yellow. So perfect 8-pitch situation with 5 cards to play 2 Auras. Feels really good when that happens. And I'm able to take all 6 of the damage, negating 1 of the damage with my Spectral Shield, popping it, having the Merciful deal 1 damage to him, and having the Ode to Wrath add on with that 1 health loss as well. So we do lose the Spectral Shield here, but we got to swing with it 4 times, and we got to deal 12 damage, and we got to take a card out of his hand early on. So that already got plenty of value for a single card. and we were able to keep our HP total high at the same time. So now with our 2 Spectras out, we're going to poke on our turn for free with Ode to Wrath, threatening 2 damage. He's going to go ahead here, and while he's lower, he's going to block with that Skull Cap, denying 2 damage for the price of 1 block. So very efficient use of the Skull Cap there. End of the turn, we're going to draw up, and it's going to be our opponent's turn. And now the Bravo player has to start thinking, you know, does he target the Spectras first? And if so, which one? Or does he try to attack Prism? If he tries to attack the Prism, he's only going to be able to really swing once on his turn. And if we block and we maintain these value engines here, we're going to start snowballing out of control. So he really needs to start trying to clear this double aura situation. Now, yes, it's been a very fortuitous game for the Prism side here, because obviously turn 0 we got a Genesis in. Obviously, when he attacks with that dominated turn, the fact that we were able to double aura in response, and then kind of poke and draw up is very good for us, because not only did we put 2 auras down, but we also put down Merciful and Ode. In this situation, the correct aura to always clear first is Merciful Retribution, because obviously as I put up more shields and more auras, as he would break them, he'd be taking more arcane damage. But the problem with Merciful Retribution being out is that it is essentially a landmine. If your opponent steps on it and gives you that Vestige trigger when the Merciful Retribution goes to Soul, that'll turn on your Vestige of Soul, and then you'll be able to pay for all your new auras that much easier, making it very awkward for your opponent, because they basically helped you replace what they spent their whole turn breaking. So here he's going to go ahead. The judge, I think, told him to make a play because he was taking a minute. So he's going to go ahead and Tectonic Plating, make a Seismic. He's got another Time Snap in his hand, so I'm unsure why he didn't play the Time Snap here. I guess he's really worried about me snowballing right away with these auras. But if he was worried about that, then he should have just gone for the Ode to Wrath in the first place. Yes, there's 2 Time Snaps that are gone now from him. And I lose my Merciful. He takes the 1 Arcane and loses the 1 life from the Ode to Wrath. And then down here, going down to 26, and over here, Vestige turns on. And now I'm thinking, okay, well, what do I want to do on his turn? And luckily for me, I've got a Tome of Divinity, so I play that by pitching a single light blue card, Blue Wartune Herald, draw 3 cards, putting me back up to around a hand of 4 cards, if not 5, based off of whatever that situation was. And I'm able to flash in a Merciful Retribution there by pitching a Blue Triumph, and now my opponent is in the same position that he was already in, where I have the Merciful Ode combo out, but I also now have a card in Soul, and I still have some cards in hand to do stuff with. So definitely a good position for me to be in. Being able to draw Merciful off of the Tome and having that Tome in hand when I had Merciful out is very good, and that's why I love this suite of cards. I love having Vestige, Merciful, and Tome and Soul Shield. They're a great core around the Blue Heralds to make sure that you have that that ability to maintain your board state while not going dead in card advantage. So I end up pitching a Soul Shield to activate Prism's ability to start poking with my auras. This is kind of interesting because I'm very certain that I had other defense reacts in my hand that I wanted to use, and so pitching the Soul Shield was kind of like a mind game thing where my opponent might think, oh, why is he pitching Soul Shield? Shouldn't he be keeping that? What else is he going to be trying to use? And so I think I go to cleanup here in Arsenal probably, and go on to the next turn. So yep, so we're going to clean up. Arsenal, keep a card in hand. There's no reason to overextend and play potentially a defense reaction or anything, or do anything crazy. Just take the damage, and Arsenal the best card, probably defense react, and move on. So I think I had a red Sink Blow and a Arclight Sentinel, and I was debating on which one I wanted to Arsenal. I would almost always Arsenal the defense react instead of the Arclight, because you can always get value out of the defense react and not necessarily always get value out of the Arclight. And so he does Time Skippers here. I'm thinking on a response, I let him go ahead and proceed. I was thinking at the time, like, maybe I try and get the Arclight in, but I don't think I had enough pitch to pay for it. The moment he goes for Tome of Fyendal, I'm thinking to myself, okay, let me see if I want to respond to that with Arclight. But I'm thinking to myself, he's only going to kill 1 aura because he doesn't have enough action points to kill 2, then it really doesn't matter if I Arclight here, because it's just going to kind of waste my whole turn based on my pitch in hand. And so I just let him go on and draw his cards. Basically, Time Skipper's here to not attack both auras is really a tricky position for him, because he's already put 2 time snaps on the bottom of his deck. If he doesn't have more access to action points, then he's really going to struggle to clear my auras in an efficient manner. And he's already starting to hemorrhage HP. So he goes ahead and he swings a Nothos here at Merciful, almost certainly. And he's just got these very awkward hands of pitch, it looks like. And, you know, even if he popped the Time Skippers, I don't think he had enough pitch in cards to swing into me twice. That's probably why he didn't do it. But because my Odorath is still out and the Merciful goes to Soul, he's going to take that 2 damage. And go down to 26. And now I'm thinking to myself, okay, do I want to do anything on his turn? I might not. But I will show him that I have the card and Soul down there. And now we're going to start really showing why Odorath is really threatening. Yeah, he's killed 2 of my Mercifuls already, and that's great for him. But the problem is that Odorath sticking around like this is going to produce so much value and so much threat. Like, this is really where we start seeing the play lines for Prism come into their own here. So he's going to clean up. He's going to draw up. Have his Seismic go away. And here we are going to go ahead and throw out a red Prismatic Shield. So red Prismatic Shield pitching a blue card, it looks like, to create 3 shields. Sometimes you'll pitch a yellow into a blue for certain things, but I'm pretty sure here I just want to go for the widest turn possible. So I go ahead and I Prism pitching a yellow. There's no point to do it in a fancy way. Our opponent can't really stop us anyway. So we're just going to go ahead here and attack with each of them for 1, and if they hit, he loses life off of Odorath. The thing is that I don't recommend swinging with all your auras if you have cards in hand, because your opponent needs to be afraid of Glisten, and you have to declare your attacks one by one, just to make sure that you have the maximum mental pressure as possible, being like, hey, attack for 1, is that good? Attack for 1, is that good? And then once you've kind of stopped threatening the Glisten, or if you've got 0 cards in hand, then yeah, you can swing with all of them at once for the sake of time. But it is correct to clear the attacks 1 at a time, because you never know if the Prism player is trying to get some extra damage through with those Glistens, or maybe flashing in another aura, right? Maybe on the first attack they have another Odorath they want to play, stuff like that. So yeah, we got a whole bunch of damage in through here. He's down to 14 life from 26. That's a lot of damage. Like 12 damage, to put in perspective, is the amount of damage a normal hand is trying to deal. So the fact that he just did that off of a single yellow pitch, blue pitch, and a red is kind of insane, because it also healed us for 4 HP. So that was like a 16-point swing turn. And he's got that Odorath to deal with, which in this case he should just attack the Spectral Shields. Attacking the Odorath here is incorrect, because if he doesn't get rid of those Spectral Shields, I'm not gonna be able to. I'm just gonna be able to ping him down. But because he's got such an awkward hand, he elects to go for the Odorath. It seems like. Doesn't really. He's got like 2 reds in his hand, or even if he doesn't, he's going for the shields first. That's not enough. I mean, obviously I'm prepared for that. I block with the sink below, and I might sink here in order to improve my hand quality a little bit. But I also could just as easily not, because a lot of the times you don't actually have to do sink, depending on what your hand is. The option of sink is so powerful. I think it's easily one of the best cards accessible to Prism. So yeah, we go and sink and draw, and we say, okay, yeah, full block. Back over to you, and then he uses his other card in hand to swing for 4 at Odorath, which at this point I think is fine. I definitely don't think it really matters, because it's probably the best value you can get out of that hand, but it does feel very bad to not be able to dominate here because, if I'm able to keep these Spectral Shields around, even if I lose the Odorath, I'm still coming in for 5 damage next turn, in addition to whatever else I was going to do already. So, yeah, 5 shields here, very threatening. Gonna come in with the Merciful Retribution, pitching the blue and pitching a yellow. I had just, thought about putting the Merciful in with the Ode last turn to get the card into Soul and get some more damage through, but with my hand, I didn't have either a yellow or I didn't want to use the other cards from hand to do that, and I want to get the go again on my turn, so I elected to do it this way. This represents a lot more value. The Merciful Retribution itself is going to die and go to your soul at some point anyway. We still have the Halo to force something into our soul if we need to, and getting this go again with all these shields is definitely the value here. The judge came over to check my graveyard. I don't know what he was looking for. Maybe I had the yellow sinks and the red sinks, and he's like, wait, how many sinks do you have? I think that might have been what he was thinking, but I do indeed run yellow sinks, and they are indeed different from red sinks, so I am allowed to run them in more than 3 red sinks. I can run 3 red sinks and 3 yellow sinks. So yeah, we're gonna go to cleanup. We poked him down to 13. At this point, he's in the death spiral. If he starts blocking the shields at all, he'll never be able to get rid of them. So he has to try and mount a comeback here, but he is going to be hemorrhaging advantages because he's already down to 13 life. Merciful's out. If he can't pop Merciful and the shields in the same turn, he's either going to pop Merciful and then take 6 Kodachis to the face, or he's going to pop 5 Kodachis, take the Arcane, and then take 1 to the face, which is the correct order, but obviously they kill the Merciful first because they think, oh, well, maybe I can, stop some damage. But actually here, the correct choice is to attack the shields. If you don't break the shields, you're going to take the damage anyway. The Arcane is kind of like the shield's last attack. But if you let the shields stay around, then they're going to get to attack anyway, and then they're still going to be able to be protected. So generally, I think attacking Merciful there is incorrect, especially on that low of life total. You really have to start getting rid of these shields, or you're just going to be pinged down to oblivion. So yeah, now on his turn here, it's very interesting. He actually has very few ways to pop Phantasm in that deck. He's got a lot of defense reacts and a lot of 4 attacks, so I think he's counting on the fact that I'm not attacking with the Phantasms. But yeah, so that's pretty interesting. But yeah, I'm just going to start here with the yellow sink below in the pitch. In order to make a token, we're going to come in 6 times for 1. So he really can't afford to block this. If he does try to block it, he's really, again, just going to put himself further into the hole. And so at this point, it's kind of awkward for him. And he's probably thinking, like, okay, maybe I block the sink below and try and fix my hand quality. And that seems to be what he's going to do. I believe he takes 5 of these shields here. And then on the last one, he goes for the sink in order to do that. And so, yeah, like, there are some times where you just kind of gentleman and don't kind of, like, threaten the 1 go again, 1 go again, 1 go again, 1 go again. It can get obnoxious for people. So just as a manners thing, you tend to just say, okay, here's 6 Kodachis. If you have a response on one of them, you can. But it definitely is theoretically correct to swing first. To swing with them 1 at a time while you have cards. It 100% is correct to do it that way. Here, I close the combat chain to break Dreamweavers and attack with Wartune Herald. At this point, I don't want him to pop my Herald. I want him to have to spend multiple cards in order to stop this damage coming through. Because obviously, if he gets down to 2 life here, and I get a card into Soul, I can just poke him down to nothing really easily. So he has to kind of use 2 cards to block here. And since it looks like all he's got is a Pummel and 2 class cards, it looks like he'll be able to block it out, but he's going to go down to a 1-card hand. And Bravo with the 1-card hand isn't quite scary against Prism. I'm up to 6 shields, and I only need to poke him down a little bit more before he's within lethal range. And anything he does next turn, I'm going to be able to block because he's only going to be able to come in for 4 maximum, and I can easily block that with a single card and like lose 1 shield, or I can block with 2 cards and lose no shields. So from there, he comes in with the Nothos for 4. That's about all he can do. At this point, we are in the commanding position. It's looking like the game is in the bag. But we still have to finish it out. If we don't draw a yellow, we don't get our go-agains. We can stall out. So we do have to try and play it out. It's not necessarily a foregone conclusion. So here we block with a sink below, trading card for card, and going down to a 3-card hand and 1 in arsenal. Judge asks another question about something, I guess, or my opponent wants to see my graveyard, probably wanting to know how many sinks he's seen. And then there he goes, satisfied with what he's seen, gives me my graveyard back. So on my turn here, he's got a Command and Conquer, he's got a Showtime, Crush Confidence, and a Debilitate, it looks like. I go ahead and I break my Energy Potion that I had played earlier off of a Go Again turn. And I use the 2 floating plus a yellow in order to play a red Prismatic Shield. Going up to 9 shields. And yeah, by the way, when I had broken the chain the earlier turn, I believe that was the turn where I put the Energy Potion down because I didn't want the Go Again to be stopped by the Phantasm Pop. I believe that's why I did that. So yeah, with 9 shields down, the judge is asking some questions about, oh, how did you get to Go Again? Why do you have floating? And I'm like, I broke the Energy Potion for 2 resource, I pitched a yellow, Vestige of Soul is not active this turn, nothing went to my soul, so I have 1 floating from the 4 resources, and I'm counting out the shields to say, okay, yep, here's 9 shields, and here they all come. So I've got like nothing in my hand, so there's no point to kind of hold them back, and so now he takes 7 shields, going down to 1 life. This is probably the worst possible case scenario for our opponent here. We still have 1 resource left, so we are going to come in with that Wartune Herald Blue that we had either from Arsenal or from hand, and he will pop it with the Command and Conquer. So we were able to force him down to another 1-card hand. Again, we've got an Arsenal, and now we've got a full hand. He's able to come in for 4 damage, but there's really... And the judge was having questions about how the card was blocked, and it's like it was popped by the Phantasm, so no offense to the judge, but, you know, it's just interesting how many times we were kind of like interrupted, but we were playing the game properly, so I don't know what was happening there. But yeah, he comes in for 4. I'm thinking to myself, how much do I need to block to actually win the game? I think I have like 3 auras in my hand, an Odorath, 2 Genesis, and maybe maybe some other card. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, it might have been another instant, honestly. Like, it could have been a tome. And I go ahead here and just block with Vestige to preserve 6 shields. There's really no point in having more than that at this point. At most, he has no armor left, and he's got 4 cards in hand after his turn and 1 in arsenal. Even with a 5-card hand up block, he's still going to die to 6 shields. So all I have to do here is pitch my 2 Genesis cards, play Odorath, and I attack wide, and that's the game. So yeah, it was a fun match. It's always fun to represent Prism on stream or in general. And while we weren't able to see my hands and kind of go through the different play lines I was considering, if you want content like that, you can find it on my Patreon. I make Patreon exclusive videos where I have a hand cam and can break down the game and show you guys what my thought process is and why I make certain plays. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that little showcase there. And yeah, that's about it. Catch you guys in future videos, and make sure if you're interested in the Nationals tournament breakdown that you check out that video in the description. I'll link it there, and you guys can get a feel for how I felt about the tournament, how I performed in the tournament, after especially this point where I was 7-4 on day 2, and we can see you there. So thanks again for watching, and as always, stay cool. Peace.